Mystery Monday. Mystery Monday. It's a mystery. Mystery Monday. Welcome again to Mystery Mondays, everyone. Thanks for that extra sensual intro today, Drew. Give me almost like Exorcist vibes a little bit.
Oh man,
I like that.
Didn't even know what it was. I think it was a glockenspiel or something like that.
Yeah, great. Oh, mate, who doesn't love a glockenspiel? Actually, talking of that, I want to get a glockenspiel.
What is a glockenspiel?
You must have played. I expect you played one in school. It's like it's a German instrument, obviously by the name glockenspiel. Glockenspiel, yeah. It's just basically like a set of metal keys, and then you just have like a little banger.
A little banger device,
and you just go like ding dong dong ding dong.
It's like a metal
dong,
xylophone,
right.
that's smaller. So
Right.
it's like a small little thing. And
Yeah.
I got Naya one actually. Maybe I should bring it in.
Well, I just thought it's the perfect thing. Like, say when you're trying to layer something up, like it's not very hard to play.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or at least like, you know, no offense to pro glockenspiel players out there, because there's levels to this stuff. But you know, I mean, like if you want to add in just like an extra little like ding dong dong dong, like like here and there, it's like quite good, you know. So I think I want to get a glockenspiel.
I was enjoying that one. That was
cool.
cool.
I was quite enjoying that. It was like making me feel very relaxed.
Yeah, man.
It was a bit Disney, I thought.
Yeah, lulling me into a false sense of security before we get suckered in by this mystery, because it is Mystery Mondays.
Oh yeah.
Welcome again, fair travellers. What mystery will be in store for us all today? It's Bullwinkle's turn for the mystery. So without further ado, let's crack on with the mystery. But first, let me get up some mysterious ambience.
Some mysterious sounds.
So yeah, we hope that everyone's had a good week out there. Whatever you've been doing. Thanks for joining us yet again. The Pandora's Box boyos.
Time to get your week started with a mystery.
Alright, baby. Let's see what this one's like, shall we?
Oh, here we go.
Dun, 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 dun,
I like it.
Dun, dun.
There it is.
That sounds like Native American.
I know.
Baby, you know I love that. You know I got that.
Deeply mysterious ambient journey.
Ooh, going on a journey.
Sounds like a good Friday night.
Yeah, baby. Woo! Alright, Adam Bullwinkle.
I am ready for the mystery. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Man.
Is everyone out there ready?
I'm ready.
Karma's ready.
There we go, they just answered.
So, on March 22nd, 1977, Charles Morgan, a 29-year-old escrow agent in Tucson, Arizona, went missing after leaving his home. This is the mystery, ladies and gents, of Charles Morgan. Seemingly abducted on his way to the escrow company. 3 days later, at 2 a.m, he finally returned home. His wife, Ruth Morgan, reported that he had a plastic handcuff around one ankle and handcuffs around his hands.
What, real handcuffs? So a kid handcuffed his feet,
Yeah.
and an actual police officer handcuffed his upper body.
He pointed to indicate that he couldn't speak.
Can we just because I didn't know what an escrow company was, so that just threw me at from the start.
You know what, I didn't either.
So what's that? So he'd gone to see an escrow company.
Should we look at that? Shall I quickly look it up?
Yeah.
I've got the thing. So apparently, the escrow company acts as the neutral third party to collect the required funds and documents involved in closing processes, including the initial earnest money check, the loan documents, and signed deeds. So it's something to do with like loans and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, collecting.
That would kind of make
Loan
sense.
shark.
It kind of comes together later.
Cool.
So yeah, his wife Ruth Morgan reported. Oh no, she gave him a pen and paper and wrote. He wrote that there was a hallucinogenic drug in his throat that could destroy his nervous system. Ruth wanted to call the police or get in contact with the physician, but Charles told her not to, and said it would put their family in danger. Ruth resigned to nurse him back to health, after which he told her that for the past 2 or 3 years, he had been working as a secret agent for the Treasury Department.
So cool.
He claimed his abductors took his Treasury ID, giving her no more details. On July 5th, 1865, the US Secret Service was formed to catch counterfeiters. In 1867, the mission of the Secret Service broadened to detecting persons perpetrating frauds against the government. So they just changed basically what they state that they do. It was part of the Department of Treasury until 2003 and is now part of the Department of Homeland Security. 2 months after Charles's disappearance, he is reported missing again. After 9 days, Ruth receives a phone call. An unidentified woman tells Ruth Chuck is alright. Ecclesiastites. I think I've butchered.
No.
Ecclesiates, I think.
Ecclesiastes.
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 Ecclesiastes 12. Ecclesiastes. Right, so the woman says to Ruth on the phone, Chuck is alright. Ecclesiastes 12, 1 through 8. And then hangs up.
Ecclesiastes, alright?
So they randomly call his wife after he's been missing for 9 days, say Chuck is alright, Ecclesiastes 12, 1 through 8. Exactly. And then they hang up.
12, 1 through 8. So they needs to look that up in the good old book to see what that.
2 days later, on June 18th, his body was discovered lying 40 miles west of Tucson near his Mercury Cougar. Charles C. Morgan had been shot in the back of the head by his own gun, a .357 caliber Magnum revolver.
Whoa.
He was found wearing a bulletproof vest that he had reportedly had been wearing after his first disappearance.
Man, that guy was in some deep stuff.
Yes, definitely.
Walking around every day in a bulletproof vest.
Saying he's got some hallucinogenic thing that's going to destroy his nervous system.
So you'd just be like paralysed, I guess. If your nervous system was destroyed, you'd just be like awake.
Lyme's disease.
Yeah, but it'd be worse even. Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. If it was like fully, because you would essentially be like completely awake, but you'd be like
paralysed,
like fully paralysed,
like some snake venom, like that. It's just like made you like
dark,
some,
man.
Like spider venom or something that just keeps you completely still.
It's like at the end of Midsommar.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
No,
Midsommar?
I haven't.
Yeah,
you've seen it, haven't you? That's what they do to that guy, isn't it?
Yeah, and then put him in the bear.
And then burn him alive.
Whoa.
And he's just like awake, but he can't move.
Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
He was found wearing a bulletproof vest that he reportedly had been wearing after his first disappearance, a belt buckle that concealed a knife and a holster. A pair of sunglasses found at the scene were not his, however. Pima County Sheriff investigators searched his car and found several weapons and a cache of ammunition. The car had reportedly... Yeah. Mm-hmm. The car had reportedly been altered so that it could be unlocked from the fender. On the rear seat of the car, Morgan's tooth was discovered, wrapped up in a white handkerchief. And yet, this isn't the strangest thing investigators found at the scene. He was
tortured or something.
Bizarrely, there was also an item pinned to Morgan's underwear. A $2 bill with 7 Spanish surnames and a map of the border area. The map led to the towns Robles Junction and Salacity, an area between Tucson and Mexico. These towns had a reputation for smuggling at the time, a fact that will become important later. Above the list of surnames was the note, Ecclesiastes. Play the song. Ecclesiastes, that's the one.
Ecclesiastes.
So above the list of surnames was the note Ecclesiastes 12, and arrows pointing to the numbers 1 and 8 within the bill's serial number. So literally completely exactly what that woman said on the phone.
Whoa.
Some of the writings on the bill had alleged Masonic references. Charles also had a piece of paper with directions to the site where he was found. The directions were in his handwriting. I don't know where they were from, but obviously it was just from where he went to them when he was eventually dead. Medical investigators say that he had been found only 12 hours, or he had been dead for only 12 hours when he was found. Strangely, there were no fingerprints found at the scene, not even on the gun. On Morgan's hand, they found gunpowder and residue. It is likely for this reason the Sheriff's Department labelled it as suicide, and for years that seemed to be the end of the Charles
Such
C.
a
Morgan
cop-out,
case.
innit? Basically, they couldn't be bothered to do the work.
There's a bit of stuff on this out.
Literally.
Yeah, suicide.
It's almost like they thought, we're way in over our head here for just like normal county sheriffs or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You just want to eat some donuts and do some people for speeding. Do you know what I mean? So it's like...
I wonder where he actually was shot in the head, because when you were saying that...
You said the back of the head, didn't you?
Yeah.
Back of the
So
head.
you'd have
I
to
think
be
you
like-
said back of the head,
Yeah, you'd have to be like, put it behind you like that and be like...
And Magnum's a big gun as well. It's one of the biggest caliber buns.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest caliber guns, and it's like that long.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like one of those ones they always say, like, it'll like blow your head off or whatever. Maybe not blow your head off, but it's like powerful.
It's got
crazy.
power, yeah, definitely. So it was left as a supposed suicide with twisted clues that seem to suggest otherwise. Should we get into some of the theories of what happened to Charles C. Morgan now?
Let's do it.
So the first one is pretty deniable. It is that Morgan's death was in fact a suicide.
Bull.
There was gunpowder on his hand, and the gun used was his own.
He was
yet-
blatantly in a shootout. He was in a shootout.
Yet Morgan,
People were trying to kill him.
Morgan was right-handed, and the gunpowder and residue was on his left hand. It doesn't really make sense for him to use his left hand to shoot himself in the back of the head, let alone to use such an awkward position to kill himself.
I mean, I'm right-handed. I could imagine that I could still shoot with the left hand, but
I feel like it would just be natural for
obviously,
most
yeah.
people to just be like,
If he's got gunpowder on his left hand, like, could he have used it like before the person shot him with his own gun? He
Yeah.
could have been trying to shoot someone.
And
Like,
also,
I
like,
don't know why in his left hand, but
when you're like trained to shoot properly, you're told nowadays to hold it with two hands, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you hold it with the supporting hand underneath. And some people, my old man's a bit like this. Like, he's right-handed, but some things he'd rather do with his left hand. So I can see, like, even for me, I'm not a very ambidextrous person, but I can imagine that wouldn't really feel much worse than going like that, because you're still using your right hand to guide and everything. Do you know what I mean? I'm just saying. Just saying.
but then like we're saying as well, it's obviously that bit of like putting it behind your head.
Oh
That's
yeah,
like-
but I'm just saying, like, I'm imagining, like, if
Yeah,
he was in a gunfight.
Yeah, I know what
That
you
would
he
mean.
make
obviously did use it if he's got it on his left hand.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't think that he obviously did commit suicide. I think that he was probably, he was obviously in some bad stuff. Some people had caught up to him. There was probably a bit of a gun battle. I reckon he was then apprehended, and I reckon he was maybe tortured for a little bit. That's why they found the tooth and the thing. Maybe they were trying to extract some information out of him, pulled his tooth out. That would hurt a lot. Maybe he did or did not give information. Got what they wanted or didn't. Either way, boom. Leave.
So obviously, as we were saying, the crime scene suggests that there were other people,
Foul play.
like the Morgan's tooth being there, the pair of sunglasses that didn't belong to him, and the bizarre $2 bill, of course. So we'll get into the second theory now. We've already tossed away that he was, just killed himself, because not very believable. The second theory is that Morgan was killed due to being in the Secret Service. It should be noted that Morgan was not definitely in the Secret Service, but if he was, as he said to his wife, it's possible that this led to his murder. Morgan allegedly has done escrow work for organised crime families.
Got involved in some bad juju.
Shortly before his death, Morgan also had testified in a secret state investigation on illegal activity on both sides of the Arizona-Mexico border. He was a reluctant witness for the Arizona Attorney General's office in the questioning of a now-closed Tucson bank. Was Morgan alluding to this case when he told his wife that he was undercover with the Treasury Department? Because obviously he said that earlier
Like
on.
money laundering or something.
One of Morgan's daughters, Megan Heidi, has stated, "My father had a lot of information about people here in Tucson that could have been very detrimental. There was a lot of information about politicians, people who are still alive and still work in our government. He had that information and they wanted to silence him."
Man, there are levels, aren't there? And I
Like
think
we're
you can go
saying, it
deep
sounds
stuff.
like he is in some pretty deep stuff. We'll get into the third theory now, which is the deepest of the three, which was pretty much the same. Morgan was murdered due to other illicit activity. 2 days after Morgan's death, a woman who called herself Green Eyes called the Pima County Sheriff's Department and claimed to be the same woman who had contacted Morgan's wife before. Green Eyes said that,
Ecclesiastes.
yeah, exactly. Green Eyes said that she had met Morgan in a motel before he died. The Pima County Sheriff's Department had confirmed that Morgan had been staying in a Westside motel for over a week before he was shot. Green Eyes said that Charles showed her a briefcase briefcase full of
A briefcase.
full of thousands in cash, which he claimed was to buy him out of a contract, that the mob had put on his life. So essentially, he had all this money, was found in a motel, the mob had put a hit on him.
Got a price on his head.
And he was trying to buy out of it, essentially. This is what Green Eyes was saying. Following her husband's death, Ruth had a visit from two men claiming to be the FBI. She said that they flashed their identification quickly and tore the house apart and left, but she never learned what they were looking for or if they found it.
That's so cheeky.
I reckon that's bull.
That's part of.
I reckon they would be more like. Do you know what I mean it's like,
involved in it somehow and looking for something that he had?
If me and you were going to pretend we were FBI agents, Drew, to someone's house, we would go like, oh yeah, we'll just flash it quickly. We'll just buy some in like a fancy restaurant. We'll make sure they're metal at least, so it looks a bit flashy. Just quick like, oh yeah, we're FBI agents. Yeah. Black suit, sign.
So after 13 years of his death, done. After 13 years after his death, on February 7th, 1990, an episode of NBC's Unsolved Mysteries covering the Charles C. Morgan case aired. This sparked a flux of incoming calls that helped Don Devereaux, journalist for Unsolved Mysteries, piece together that Morgan had been involved in money laundering and large transactions with gold and platinum that would occur regularly between the years of 1973 and his death in 1977. So it's all sort of money laundering and everything with gold. Morgan was dealing with upwards of $1 billion worth of gold alone.
Whoa.
So crazy money we're talking about.
Especially in those days.
Yes.
Billion.
Yes. There were also perhaps undercover CIA agents involved, most likely to pocket money for themselves. Allegedly, exiled Vietnamese government officials were involved, as well as people from the Department of Defense. Morgan was also linked to a money laundering scheme with fraudulent real estate, and one of Morgan's clients was a mafia crew centered around Joseph Bonanno Sr. Devereaux also found that Morgan kept copies of all the illicit transactions made, thinking that they could save him in the future. Were these paper trails of illegal transactions the reason why Morgan was killed, perhaps? It's pretty dodgy to keep him around. Obviously, he just wanted them this in case he needed to like blackmail someone or anything.
Yeah.
Like in Power with what was the attorney guy?
The ears guy. The guy with the funny little ears. Yeah, the bald guy.
Oh no, not the bald guy. The cool guy that was like Tommy and and
he was sound.
Yeah,
I liked
but
it.
he kept that laptop all the time just in case anything ever happened. And then he gave it to his little daughter on a little chip on a thing just as like protection if anything ever happened to him. And then he got murked.
Yeah. Poor guy as well, because he was quite a nice guy, wasn't he?
He was cool.
I felt bad for him, dude. Also, this whole story's reminding me a bit of Jack Reacher as well. Do you know what I mean? Just like the whole way that it's like, you know how like I won't give away any spoilers. Go watch Jack Reacher. It's a great program. You know what I'm on about.
It reminds me, for some reason, like, you know where it said about like Vietnamese like officials and stuff. I watched this thing the other day, and it's this this English guy who is involved with like cryptocurrency and stuff. And he would go. He was like he's like only like 30 now or something, or like 29 or something. But he's stuck in a country because the USA like want to arrest him. So he's stuck in, I can't remember which country he's stuck in.
Oh right, I was gonna say because there's also
Snowden, like that kind of thing.
And there's Julian Assange as well. Isn't he one of them as well?
Yeah.
People that are basically whistleblowers and they've had to stay in a different country. So basically,
this guy, he would go around to these crypto events and like talk at them about blockchain technology and things like that. And where's the place? North Korea. Is it Kim Jong-un? Kim Jong-un. His right-hand man. Which I can't remember the name of him for but he's like a
get it? Sorry.
Kim Jong-un. He's number 2, but not his King Jong-un.
It's just his second in command.
They're basically, North Korea are like blacklisted, or they've got.
They're like a communist country.
Yeah, and what
they're very corrupt.
You can't do like deals with them and stuff like that.
No.
What's the word? Because it's happened to all Russian people at the moment as well. When
there's like sanctions.
That's
against
it.
them.
So there's sanctions against them, and this guy. He basically invited this English guy over to do this event in North Korea, and he thought, oh, why not? You know, like, it's just going to be like free, like, it's going to be a laugh, really. And then as soon as he did it, like months after, the USA just wanted to arrest him for like breaking sanctions with like North Korea and stuff like that. And it was like he's like gone on like this Australian like TV show, just being like, oh, I didn't do anything, I just wanted to talk about the crypto. Like, you know what I mean? And now he's like most wanted. Move. But yeah, but there was like loads of information about the Kim Jong-un's right-hand person, like secret undercover footage of him just being like, right, we just got to break sanctions in any way. So like they are trying to still do deals any way they can.
They're just trying to hope
the outside world.
They're trying to hope that they're trying
to pull people in,
either corrupt enough or naive enough.
Yeah, and it reminds me of this because it's like you've got
this
all these government people like maybe doing deals with the Vietnamese, but like, do you know what I mean? Because they can't do it under normal things, but like
going in over your head, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, screw it. They're like, there are powerful people out to get me now.
Yeah.
Maybe on both sides. Both sides.
Yeah, it's just crazy that stuff goes on, like just as normal as a normal.
And
like,
some people can just
stuff.
get so mixed up within it all.
I always think that, like, I think especially when you're like a young teenager and stuff. Say like you get into like, I don't know, smoking a bit of weed or something. Unless I'm saying like in a country where it's like against the law still, whatever. But it's like sometimes, you know, at first it starts off as like harmless, but you've almost got to be careful in a way, because like once you go down that line, it's almost like you got like the law can't sort of look after you anymore because you're doing things outside of the law. So it's like you can potentially go down some very dangerous avenues, especially the deeper and deeper and deeper you go into it. There's not really much harm in a 16-year-old smoking doobie, but then, you know, if 5 years down the line you're like really intricately involved and have business, so you know what I mean, dealings with like high up like drug dealers and gangsters and the black market and that, then suddenly you can get very quickly in over your head. You owe the wrong person some money or something like that, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh man, if you go to the police, then you're going to go to jail. But that means that they can't protect you. And if you're just some normal dude, it's like, what are you supposed to do about that? You know?
So,
cautionary tale.
Perhaps leading credence to the idea that Morgan was silenced, a similar crime occurred around the airing of the Unsolved Mysteries episode that exposed most of Morgan's criminal activity. So we got to be careful here. On May 14th, 1990, at 11 p.m, Phoenix, Arizona resident Doug Johnston left for his night shift at a computer graphics company. He was found dead an hour later in the company's parking lot, slumped in the front seat of his car, having been shot once behind the left ear. It was determined that the gun had been at least 12 inches away from Doug when it went off. Like Morgan, authorities believed that Doug committed suicide. However, Doug was right-handed and the bullet was behind the left ear. No gun or gun residue was found at the scene of the crime, but a .25 caliber bullet casing was found. The medical examiner said the shot could have been self-inflicted or the work of someone else. Doug's widow said that he would have never committed suicide, so there was no, obvious signs that he was going to do this. Curiously, Don Devereaux, that we spoke about earlier, obviously the journalist who previously investigated Charles Morgan's case for Unsolved Mysteries, lived across the street from the site where Doug Johnston was found. Another interesting shared aspect between the two, Johnston's car, a Toyota station wagon, was very similar to Devereaux's around this time. Devereaux had a conversation with another journalist who had received a warning from the CIA. This journalist learned from a trusted CIA source that the killing of Doug Johnston was a botched job and that the bullet was actually meant for Devereaux. This CIA authority had also claimed that there were still contracts out for Devereaux's death. These threats may have occurred because of Devereaux looking into the death of Charles C. Morgan. Further backing up the idea that people looking into Morgan were being silenced, a writer from Washington, D.C. named Dan Casolaro had reached out to Devereaux asking for information on Morgan's gold transactions. Before Devereaux could send the information, Casolaro was found dead in a hotel room in the bathtub with his wrist cut deeply, approximately a dozen times.
Whoa, brutal, man.
Police ruled it a suicide. Dan Casolaro's brother, a doctor, said that Dan was so squeamish he would barely let his brother prick his finger for any blood work, which does not add up to
suddenly
Dan Casollero's method of suicide, obviously.
Yeah, if someone like that, if they wanted to commit suicide that badly, they just like overdose on sleeping pills or something.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be like brutal blood and slicings.
12 deep cuts to the wrist.
Also, I think though, like for the person that say committed that like fake suicide murder, like pretty stupid surely do it 12 times, because all you need is one really deep one. And it almost makes it just like more implausible, because I think, imagine cutting yourself 10 times real deep, right? By the time you've done it 10 times, you probably wouldn't even be strong enough to give yourself another 2. But then again, I guess like they're probably the hitmen carrying these out aren't the brightest guys.
Yeah.
The guys that their bosses probably are very smart.
Yeah, they're just there to get the job done.
Yeah, corrupt but smart. But the hitmen themselves are probably just pretty dumb but very good at killing things.
They're like, I better do it 12 times to make sure he's definitely going to die. Because people do survive sometimes, don't they, of like, cutting their wrists and stuff.
Yeah, but there's like cutting your wrist and then there's cutting your wrist. There's like cutting your wrist like surface level.
Yeah, no,
but then I'm talking
then it's like that. Yeah.
Like,
what they say as well, it's like to actually go down instead of cutting your wrist like that.
Oh, really?
Literally, your main vein down your arm. So like cut
Okay,
down.
Don't give people tips.
Drew knows all this.
Sorry, no, it's a bit dark, isn't it? But like,
how do you know that, man?
I just
knew that
remember,
as well.
I remember hearing something, because people do survive from just doing your wrists.
Right.
And they say, if people really mean business, they'll go down the arm rather than across the arm, because that's how you'll lose the most blood and like,
I don't want to digress too much, but just on that topic, I don't know if you might have heard this, Drew, but did you know? So where we live, Bridgewater, it's got like a very big fair every year. I was going to say 10 years ago. It was about 15, 16 years ago. Did you know that there was a guy? I don't know him, but I know who he is. And he got the fair is sort of run by gypsies, and he got involved in some bad stuff with him. And did you hear a bit about this? And the guy that got involved in some bad stuff with him, he's just a Bridgewater lad, got pinned down and they freaking slit his wrists.
Ooh.
Like deep, like he almost died. He was like in hospital, like grey and stuff, and they had to give him blood transfusions and stuff.
Oh man, but he survived it.
Yeah, he survived. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
some bad people out there, man.
But I remember at the time I was because he was one of those guys that, like, he thought he was a bit of a local hard lad. Like, he wasn't that big or anything like that, but he was just a scrappy guy. Do you know what I mean? He was one of those guys that you'd always sort of hear he was in fights. What you would call it, like a bit of a hampy, as you'd say, sort of in Bridgie. But but I think that he wasn't expecting that level. Yeah, that's what we were saying. Like, in over his head, he was expecting like, a couple of thumps and a couple of headlocks and punches, and then there's a difference between that and like next thing you know, being held down by like 5 gypsies and they're like slitting your wrists in like a dark field behind the field, behind the fair field, like.
Crazy.
Damn.
Must have been pretty scary, man.
100%.
Anyway, back to the story, back to the mystery today.
To be fair, we've pretty much come to the end. Devereaux believes that the same people who were involved in the 1970s activities are still out there. They perhaps silenced Morgan and writer Dan Casolero, and perhaps tried and failed to silence Devereaux. What do you guys make of that? Do you reckon they are still about and still silencing like people trying to talk on it?
Big.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a couple of people were taken out that probably potentially had sensitive information. One of the things I think is interesting is the list of names that the original guy had on him. Yeah. You said that he had like 7 names on him. I think that's really interesting. It was almost like he was almost like trying to go for those people for some reason, or maybe they were even. Did you say they looked into the names?
No, they literally didn't really give us anything more.
Because I was going to say, maybe these were the people that he was like that were like after him, so he was like trying to like maybe take them out one by one first or something. Because if he was wearing a bulletproof and had this like had altered his car and he was driving around with his Magnum, it was like he was clearly constantly anticipating like life or death action.
Yeah, because I thought as well, like, why he wouldn't have gone home or contacted his wife at all in that 9 days.
It's like he was trying to keep him safe.
Yeah, so he's off doing this crazy mission with all these weapons in his car, trying to sort stuff out.
If somebody was after you or any one of 3 of us, like, you wouldn't want to put your mum at risk. I wouldn't want to put my daughter and my missus at risk. You wouldn't want to put Meg and your dog at risk, So it's like, we put it it's like... Yeah, you would leave, wouldn't you? You'd get far away so that you would distance your loved ones, because you'd know that if they came to your house, they could easily be collateral damage.
It does sound like he was going on some crazy like mission, some John Wick mission to just get revenge and clear his name. Yeah, crazy stuff.
Just on a funny side note as well, do you know that's when Meg was looking after her boss's house and dog?
Some dodgy men came over.
No, Rupert impregnated Beau.
Oh, Mystery Mondays exclusive. Drew's dog, Pimp Daddy
it's
Rupert.
so bad,
it's
man.
turned out that he's impregnated Drew's missus' boss's dog.
Oh.
Is he annoyed?
So a little bit, yeah. So that's
What dog is it? What's
purebred golden retriever.
And
they paid like $3,500 for.
And your spaniel's just got around the dog. I could just imagine him doing that.
Cute little babies though, little spaniels mixed with like golden retrievers.
You're gonna have to pay child support.
I don't know. I was like, what happens now?
Alimony.
Then, Dennis? Like, and he's like, what do you mean? What happens? We get some puppies.
What do you mean? What happens? We get some puppies. Oh, I love that.
I'm like, oh god.
I imagine they look quite cool, like a
yeah.
Is it a Sprocker?
Yeah, it's a Sprocker, but it's more it's more like Springer Spaniel.
Oh,
than,
it's a Springer, right?
Because his mum was a Sprocker, but his dad was a Springer.
But he looks more like a Springer. He's bigger.
Yeah, a bit bigger and stuff.
So I can imagine though, like a cross between, because imagine like a big
Fluffy
Springer,
ears. Yeah.
like a big and imagine like a cross between that and a Retriever. I reckon it would look quite cool.
Yeah, and like she's so placid and docile as well, the golden retriever, and then Roop's got loads of energy.
Just destroyed her.
So it's like
poor girl. Poor girl. Just imagine her there chilling, and then Rupert comes in like a freaking thunderbolt.
Yeah. Oh god, man, I can't believe it though. It's so bad. I'm like, what are we gonna? Yeah, we're gonna have to like do something like pay child support. Or
also, it's hilarious that you and Meg sort of like see Rupert as your child, but he's already a daddy.
Yeah. He's already
so you're going to be a granddad before you're even a dad, man.
Yeah. What? That's mind blown.
Yeah.
So yeah, just because you mentioned Rupert.
No, I think that's quite a nice way to sort of end the mystery, to be honest. With a little exclusive.
Bo and Rupert.
Yeah. So if anyone's in the sort of southwest area of the UK,
get in touch,
and you want a Retriever cross Springer Spaniel, then
we get you a good price, yeah.
You want Drew's grandchild?
Yeah, send in to Pandora's box, and Drew will sort you out.
I'll put up a picture of him on the episode.
10% discount. 10% discount if you do it through Pandora's box.
Yeah, get in contact.
Oh yeah.
Hustling puppies through the box, man. Right.
Nice.
Anybody want to add anything about today's mystery? I really like that mystery, by the way.
Yeah, that was cool, man.
That was a really good one.
I did feel like I was in Jack Reacher or something.
Yeah, very Jack Reacher. Very Jack Reacher. I think that's actually my favourite one that you've ever done, Bullwinkle.
Ah, thank you.
Solid mystery, bro.
Thank you.
Right, guys. Thanks for joining us on Mystery Mondays. We hope you enjoyed this one. We shall see you on Wednesday for Pandora's Box, as always. Have a good one. We love you.
Ciao.